I am checking back in with you all. It's been a while. My bad. It's been a while since my last video. If you saw my first video, I think it was my first video, where I talked about, I think it was in January, I did a video sort of initiating my, at least on video, my journey, bringing everyone up to speed with me and a little bit of what you could call a challenge with becoming pregnant. So I wanted to check in with you all and just sort of share an update or 2 or 3, or I don't know, we'll see where this goes. So the first thing I want to say is that, to recap, in January I had at least 2 different exams. I had something called an HSG, where they checked, they're basically checking for any blockages in terms of your ovaries and your fallopian tubes, and making sure that, I guess in terms of anatomy, everything is structurally sound, and that went very well. So from there I also had another test, which was a blood test. I can't recall what that one was, but it was a test basically to see if I had any eggs, like was I even actually ovulating. And so typically, I guess with the doctor's office, you don't hear anything, that's good news. When they call back, then you have, probably something that you need to follow up on. So no news was good news, I guess. So since January, and by the way, now it is late April, but since January, my husband and I have continued to try, and I continue to, for the most part, track everything in my Flow app. I've been using the Flow app. So the good thing about using the app is that it can record your basal body temperature, which I was doing, especially starting out, and that really helps for the app to identify when you're expected to ovulate. So based on that, I could learn what my cycle was routinely. So my cycle pretty much was between 25 to maybe 28 or 29 days, but they were relatively short. The other thing that I noticed in reviewing the app from recording all of the information was that I seemed to ovulate very quickly after I came off of my menstrual cycle. So, I mean, literally I would come off and then 2-3 days later I was ovulating. So it wasn't like your traditional maybe seven days or more after, coming off your cycle. For me, it was like close for shop for 3 days and then open for shop, and yeah, it was relatively small window. So trying, and I want to tell you all some of the, I guess, other things I decided to add and some things that I wanted to ditch. So in terms of what I've ditched, I got a bit discouraged, and so I pretty much stopped taking my basal body temperature every day. What I decided to do was just take it around the time that I pretty much expected to start menstruating or start my period, and then also I would start to take it when I thought I might be ovulating. So all that time in between, I kind of just scrapped all of that. The other thing I stopped doing to a degree was more psychologically based. I stopped thinking about it as much. I had so many friends tell me, I know it sounds cliche, but just try not to think about it. But when you're trying, you're thinking about it. So, but what I did was I continued doing yoga, just continue to try to stay focused on other things, especially like my finances. If I want to bring another life into this world, I got to focus on getting rid of some debt. So I just kind of refocused and stopped having that at the forefront. I continued to work out. I slowed down my workouts because I was in the gym probably around 4 to 5 days a week, which is pretty, I think, might be pretty excessive when you're trying to get pregnant. And one of the things that I noticed is that I did gain a little weight, but it wasn't necessarily bad. It was probably good for me because I'm relatively small. So I put on a few pounds. I think I put on about 3 pounds. But I continue taking prenatal vitamins. I continue to do all the other things I discussed in my video. I can't recall them all right now. But a couple of other things that I did, and I'll show you. I started to drink pH water. This particular brand is Essentia. It's like alkaline water. This has a pH of 9.5 or higher. I started drinking this, and really it wasn't because I was trying to conceive, but because I was still in flu, it was still in flu season. It's something about, and for me anyway, it's something about making sure that internally everything's balanced. I don't consume a lot of dairy, actually little to no dairy on purpose, and I know that there are certain things that we eat that just create a mucus environment and just throws off pH. So I started drinking pH water. So that's the first thing I did. The other thing I did, and this was like, I had just gone online, started reading some articles, and let me say this first. None of the articles that I read said that there was a correlation between this supplement and getting pregnant, but it seemed as though the research sort of leaned towards there is a benefit to taking the supplement. So what I did was I started taking, and I don't know if the glare is going to allow you all to see this, but this is CoQ10. I bought this from CVS. I think this was about $28 to $30. It's not cheap. It's only a 30-day supply. This is actually my second bottle, but I started taking this daily, and some of the articles that I read even suggested that if fathers take this as well, because it helps with the motility of sperm and that sort of thing. So I started taking CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, and there are different types. I don't have all that information with me right now, but if you have a question or something, maybe I'll link some of the articles down below. But CoQ10. And the other thing that I did, which was, I guess, helpful in terms of my stress level, I have really started to, at work, and even for the most part, either before I left for the gym to work out or when I was getting ready for bed, I started to dab just a little bit of essential oils. So these are two of my favorites. The first is Get Going, and both of these are the Ilia brands, but this is Get Going. That one's there. And this is a blend of a couple of things, but we have lemon, orange, bergamot. I love bergamot. Grapefruit, tangerine, peppermint, spearmint, black pepper, clove. I love clove. And lemongrass. So this is Get Going. It reads here, invigorating, energizing, motivating, uplifting, and citrusy. So this was when I was getting to the gym, trying to get some energy and motivated to work out. And then at night I would do, ta-da, we have here, Wind Down. So Wind Down, this has, let's see, lavender and clary sage, balsam of Peru, marjoram, cardamom, ylang ylang, and it reads here in terms of the properties: relaxing, calming, grounding, soothing, herbaceous. Oh, that reminds me. So not only did I wear this one when I was going to bed, but I also wore this. I dabbed a little bit of this before I headed to the gym to do yoga, for my yoga class. So this was my favorite there. So doing all those things, pretty much just refocusing, trying to think about it so hard, not doing the basal body temperature anymore, not doing the pH strips anymore. Like, I just was like, look, it's gonna happen when it's gonna happen. I just prayed, and I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna accept whatever. If it's sooner than later, great. If it's later than sooner, that's fine too. If it doesn't happen for me, life still goes on. It will go on. So needless to say, my husband and I kept trying, and if anyone's wondering, so he was given his little paper to go, you know, give his donation, and so they could test his sperm sample. My husband gets to the clinic, and apparently for men, they have a very small window in which to give a sample, and so my husband seemed to be a bit discouraged by that and didn't want to have to masturbate, I guess, in the parking lot. I don't know. He gave me some weird sort of reason, excuse, whatever. So at any rate, he didn't do what he was supposed to do on that end. But I do have some good news, and the good news is it turns out that I was expecting to have a 26-day cycle for April, and 26 days came and went, and I was like, okay, well, that's happened before, where after 26 days I don't get my period. Maybe it's actually a 28-day cycle. 28 days came, and I was like, oh, still no period. So I always keep a stash of home pregnancy tests, the urine test. And so I got up, this was the morning of Resurrection Sunday. I got up and I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna take this test. And I've done this just about every time I take a urine test. I say my little, I have a come to Jesus talk, and I say my little prayer. And I'm just like, Lord, whatever it is, I'm gonna accept it. And so I urinate the cup, and I dip the little stick in the cup, and I get this. This is the Clear Blue Easy, and I don't know if you all can see it, but it shows here, maybe it's better that way. It shows pregnant, right? But the curious thing for me, and this is, I don't know, maybe I just never paid attention before, but this time when I dipped the wand into the urine cup, and I'll show you this. Every other time I've dipped the wand in the cup, it remained yellow. This time it immediately, and I don't know if the white balance is throwing this off, but it immediately turned pink, like immediately. And I was like, okay, that never happens. So, but then I thought maybe this is just a false positive. So the good thing is that I bought the kit that comes with a second test, and the second test is a digital. So it's a time digital, and so look at that. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. To the beach, y'all. I'm happy. I was in complete and utter disbelief. I was in tears. I think I scared my husband because he probably thought somebody broke into the house. I was crying, and this was early in the morning because I knew I had to get up. I was going to church, and yeah, it happened. It happened. So I'm still early, of course. I called my doctor's office and I let them know I got 2 at-home urine tests that both show positive. And so we scheduled a verification of pregnancy appointment, and I have that in a few weeks. And so that's when they do, I guess, an ultrasound. They won't do blood, but they'll just do an ultrasound, I guess, to check for a heartbeat or something, or make sure something's there. I'm doing a lot of reading right now, so I should know all this, but I don't. So anyway, I do that in a couple weeks, but I'm excited this is happening. I'm going to be a mommy. I didn't want this for a long time because I just was not ready. But when I was ready, it's all I could think about. Truthfully and honestly, like, it's been all I can think about because now I'm ready. So I just want you all to remain encouraged. If you're trying, I'm going to be another one of the nagging or people that you just kind of, can't stand to hear this from, but try not to think about it. I think some of the things that helped me were putting my energy towards other things that were constructive. And the other thing was, I really do believe that if I had to choose between some of the things that I introduced, like the pH water or the CoQ10 or the essential oils, I really think that for me, the CoQ10 helped a lot because apparently it helps a lot with cell metabolism and providing increased energy to the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. I'm a nerd, so what can I say? I really did a lot of reading on this. I just really believe that helped me a lot, and I took it every day for at least 45 days. and now I'm pregnant. And I think that's all I have to share for now. There's no like real belly to show because, like I said, I'm relatively early. I am still going to the gym. I have changed my workouts a little bit, but like in terms of not doing too much weight because it is early. I just don't want to, I'm excited, but I'm nervous. I don't want to mess this up. So I do want to continue working out, but I eased up a little bit. And I also think that me gaining some weight may have helped too. I think that before, perhaps my BMI, I probably would have been considered underweight, but now I'm on track and I put on a couple pounds, and so now my body is like, okay, yeah, you are ready to do this. And so yeah, I'm ready to do this.